Imagine an entire city, swallowed by time, now emerging from the earth with stories that defy our historical timelines. These aren't just ruins. They're groundbreaking revelations from recently unearthed civilizations that are forcing us to reconsider everything from early technology to global interconnectedness. Join us as we journey into the unknown and unravel the mysteries of these forgotten worlds. For decades, we've relied on a comforting, linear version of history. We've been taught that civilization began here, advanced there, and developed into complexity along a relatively clear timeline, a march from simple settlements to monumental empires. Think of the Great Pyramids, the Parthenon, the Roman Forum. These structures stand as the triumphant markers of human progress, the benchmarks against which all previous advancements are measured. But what if I told you that this established narrative is quite literally built on sand? What if the timeline we all learned in school is fundamentally incomplete, missing entire chapters of human ingenuity, advanced knowledge, and global interconnection? In the last decade, astonishing archaeological breakthroughs have uncovered ancient cities so sophisticated, so vast, and so ancient, they are shaking the very foundations of established history. This isn't just about finding old rocks. It's about paradigm-shifting discoveries that demand a complete re-evaluation of how human civilization developed and thrived thousands of years ago. Today, we dive into the heart of this historical earthquake. We are not just visiting sites. We are looking at evidence that pushes back the clock on urban planning by centuries, demonstrates engineering mastery previously thought impossible for the era, and suggests a level of global trade and interaction far predating anything historians had accepted. We will journey to a submerged metropolis off the coast of Greece, a city of sophisticated streets and buildings, thousands of years older than many of the grand Hellenic sites. We will descend into the subterranean darkness of Turkey to explore a massive, multi-level underground city, a labyrinth of interconnected tunnels that sheltered thousands and reveals a mastery of environment control far beyond its time. And finally, we will examine the ongoing excavation of a massive Hittite city in central Turkey, a find so significant it promises to redraw the entire political map of the Bronze Age Near East. Get ready to have your mind blown. This is a journey that will fundamentally change your perception of humanity's past. You won't look at history the same way again. Our first stop takes us beneath the waves of the Mediterranean, just off the coast of Laconia, Greece. Hiding here is a secret concealed for 5 millennia, Pavlopetri, the oldest known submerged city in the world. This is a city that was swallowed by the sea, but not forgotten by history, because it is now forcing historians to completely recalibrate their understanding of early Greek civilization. When Pavlopetri was first rediscovered in the 1960s, marine archaeologists were stunned. What they found was not just a scattering of ruins, but a meticulously planned urban center. Subsequent surveys, especially those utilizing advanced sonar and photogrammetry technology, have given us an unprecedented look at this drowned metropolis. And the findings are absolutely revolutionary. The biggest immediate shock was its age. Pavlopetri dates back an astonishing 5,000 years, placing it firmly in the late Neolithic and early Bronze Age. To put that into perspective, this city thrived before the legendary Trojan War, before the height of the Minoan palaces on Crete, and centuries before the great classical Greek city-states like Athens and Sparta began to flourish. For years, the academic consensus held that settlements of this scale and complexity simply did not exist this early in the Aegean. The belief was that the earliest settlements were small, decentralized farming villages. Yet here, beneath the waves, we have undeniable evidence of a highly organized society, suddenly appearing outside the known stream of recorded history. What does this complexity look like? Imagine diving beneath the turquoise water. You don't see random tumbled stones. You see streets, straight, systematically laid out streets flanked by the foundations of nearly 15 buildings, clearly delineated courtyards, and even sophisticated tomb complexes. The layout suggests zoning, areas designated for residential living, administrative function, and public spaces. This is the blueprint of a modern city, executed millennia ago. It's the engineering that truly makes Pavlopetri stand out. Its founders exhibited a profound understanding of surveying and construction. The foundations we see weren't built haphazardly. They were systematically planned to maximize space and efficiency. The city featured a complex drainage system and seawalls built to withstand the power of the sea. This discovery challenges the previous notion that sophisticated city-states only emerged with the Minoans or the Mycenaeans. Pavlopetri proves that advanced urban planning, a concept we typically associate with much later civilizations, was already thriving in this region. But perhaps the most compelling story Pavlopetri tells is one of maritime power and global connectivity. This was not an agricultural village tucked inland. It was a powerful port city, deeply engaged with the sea. Its strategic location must have made it a critical hub for trade routes that spanned the entire Mediterranean. Archaeologists have found evidence suggesting widespread cultural exchange, perhaps linking early Greek culture with the emerging civilizations of Anatolia, Turkey, and even the Levant. Pavlopetri didn't just exist on the water, it was shaped by it. Its existence and prosperity were tied to its ability to control and exploit the surrounding sea. This implies a highly skilled workforce, organized leadership, and, critically, a naval capability far superior to what historians previously acknowledged. This was not rudimentary sailing, this was sophisticated maritime organization. The sea gave it life, but ultimately swallowed it, likely due to a combination of land subsidence and rising sea levels over the centuries. But as the water retreats from the digital models, the truth remains. A 5,000-year-old city of advanced engineering and strategic importance. Pavlopetri forces us to push back the timeline for complex societies, making us wonder, if a city like this existed here, what other forgotten ports and trade hubs are waiting to be uncovered, silently redrawing the map of the ancient world. From the submerged depths of the Aegean, we now shift our gaze to the earth itself. If one great civilization can be lost beneath the waves, what mysteries lie hidden right beneath our feet? Let's travel east to the stark landscape of Cappadocia, Turkey, to explore a labyrinth that defies scale and belief. From the drowned depths of the Aegean, we now turn our attention inland to the rugged, seemingly barren landscape of Cappadocia in central Turkey. Here, the challenge to established history isn't found in the water, but deep beneath the earth itself. This is Derinkuyu, the deep well, an engineering marvel so vast and so unexpected, it redefines our understanding of ancient societal organization. The story of its discovery is almost mythical. In 1963, a local resident in the area was renovating his home. After removing a wall, he didn't find a small cellar or a storage room. Instead, he found a dark, dusty tunnel that led to an enormous, multi-level underground city, carved entirely out of the soft volcanic rock. This wasn't a bunker for a handful of people. Derinkuyu is a subterranean metropolis, burrowing more than 18 stories deep into the earth. At its peak, archaeologists estimate it could comfortably house up to 20,000 people, along with their livestock, their food stores, and their cultural life. Imagine that, an entire civilization existing completely beneath the surface, capable of remaining self-sufficient for months at a time. It is the largest excavated underground city in the world, and its mere existence forces a profound reassessment of ancient Anatolian populations and their capacity for monumental construction. But the sheer scale is only the beginning of the mystery. The real revelation lies in the engineering. Building a city that deep presents immediate, massive challenges: air, water, waste, and security. The ancient architects of Derinkuyu solved them all with remarkable ingenuity, demonstrating knowledge we previously assumed was gained centuries later. Let's start with air. How do you keep 20,000 people and their animals breathing hundreds of feet below the surface? The answer lies in a complex network of over 15,000 dedicated ventilation shafts. Crucially, these shafts are often vertical, but some served as wells, others solely for air. demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of pressure, circulation, and air density. The shafts were meticulously engineered to draw fresh air down to the lowest levels, maintaining a habitable and sustainable environment. This wasn't guesswork. This was a remarkable grasp of environmental control and scientific principle. Then there is water. The city featured deep wells, but these could be sealed off from above in times of siege to prevent enemies from poisoning the supply. This shows an intricate defensive strategy that goes far beyond simple physical barriers. Speaking of defense, the residents had a brilliant system of protection. Massive, donut-shaped rolling stone doors, weighing up to 1,000 pounds each, that could seal off tunnels from the inside, blocking invaders and sealing the inhabitants within their labyrinthine sanctuary. The precision required to carve these doors and their tracks into the soft stone, ensuring they could be rolled by just a few people, is a testament to their specialized labor force. The infrastructure found inside suggests a highly organized, specialized, and self-sufficient society. We find stables for livestock, chapels for worship, communal kitchens with complex smoke vents, oil presses, wineries, and even communal dining halls. The presence of schools, meeting rooms, and clearly defined living quarters implies a structured administration and educational system. This wasn't a short-term refuge. This was a place designed for long-term, self-sustained living, complete with the necessities for social and religious life. This level of planning suggests an established social hierarchy and centralized decision-making that could mobilize thousands for this incredible construction effort. Which brings us to the biggest, most compelling mystery. Why? Why would a community, or perhaps several communities, expend the monumental effort required to carve an 18-story city out of stone? The leading theories suggest massive, prolonged threats, perhaps a constant need for protection from hostile invasions, the Hittites, the Phrygians, or later the Arab-Byzantine wars, or perhaps a response to large-scale geopolitical or environmental pressures. A massive population movement, or extended periods of climatic instability that made life on the surface too dangerous or unsustainable. Furthermore, Derinkuyu is not unique. It is merely the largest of over 200 smaller underground villages and networks found throughout Cappadocia, many of which are interconnected by miles of tunnels. This suggests a vast, integrated network, an entire subterranean society operating in parallel with surface dwellers. This demands a complete reevaluation of population density, social organization, and communication in ancient Anatolia. The complexity and scale far exceed what was previously thought possible for the Bronze Age societies of the region. Derinkuyu stands as a silent testament to an advanced society that chose, or was forced, to hide its complexity beneath the surface. If Pavlopetri rewrites the timeline for urban planning on the sea, Derinkuyu rewrites the blueprint for survival and engineering beneath the earth. But our historical exploration isn't finished yet. Let's travel further east, where a new discovery promises to rewrite the very political map of a powerful empire that once dominated the Near East. We leave the hidden world beneath the waves and the labyrinth under the plains, and travel further east into central Turkey, to a site that is currently undergoing one of the most explosive, active excavations in modern archaeology. This discovery is not just rewriting local history. It threatens to redraw the entire political and geographical map of the late Bronze Age Near East. For centuries, our primary understanding of the mighty Hittite Empire, one of the great powers that rivaled Egypt and Babylon, was centered around its capital, Hattusa. We knew they were fierce warriors, skilled diplomats, and innovators in ironwork, but their history was often viewed through the narrow lens of their primary records. Now, the ongoing excavation of a massive urban center, potentially the long-lost sacred city of Zippalanda, is changing everything. This site is colossal. It's revealing a scale of urban development, administration, and societal specialization previously unimagined outside of the capital itself. Unlike the ruins of Pavlopetri or the hidden depths of Derinkuyu, this is an active, open wound in the earth, yielding fresh, paradigm-shifting secrets every single day. What are they finding? The sheer architectural scale is breathtaking. We are looking at the foundations of massive administrative buildings, large-scale workshops, temples, and defensive walls that suggest this was not merely an outpost, but a critical hub of the Hittite heartland. The organization and infrastructure point directly to a highly centralized, specialized, and wealthy society capable of monumental undertakings, far surpassing the established timeline for Hittite expansion and influence in the region. But the true treasure lies in the archives. Archaeologists have been unearthing a cache of previously unknown cuneiform tablets. Cuneiform, of course, was the writing system used throughout the ancient Near East, and these tablets are the historical equivalent of finding a completely new library of primary sources. Initial translations are already hinting at profound changes to our historical understanding. These tablets aren't just ledgers or simple messages. They include diplomatic correspondence, economic records, and perhaps most importantly, political treaties. These documents are expected to shed entirely new light on diplomatic relations and previously unknown trade routes. Think about the implications. A new city means a new point of power. New treaties mean new alliances and conflicts we didn't know about. This forces historians to fundamentally alter their understanding of regional power dynamics during a time when the entire Near East was locked in a complex struggle for dominance. The scale of the workshops, for instance, suggests a highly specialized labor force, metallurgists, scribes, artisans, working under centralized authority. This indicates a sophisticated economic model designed not just for sustenance, but for production on an imperial scale. We are seeing evidence that the Hittite state was perhaps more decentralized in its power distribution, yet more unified in its economic control than previously believed. If this site confirms the full extent of the Hittite Empire or their alliances, it could necessitate a global reevaluation of Bronze Age migrations, conflicts, and technological transfers. The collapse of the Bronze Age, one of the great mysteries of history, might look completely different when viewed through the lens of this newly revealed vast Hittite network. This site doesn't just fill in a gap. It's tearing down established walls and building new ones, offering a fresh, vital perspective on how empires rose, sustained themselves, and ultimately fell. We began this journey by asking, what if everything you thought you knew about ancient history was wrong? Pavlopetri told us complex city-states are older. Derinkuyu showed us that advanced engineering went underground. And this new Hittite discovery is actively rewriting the geopolitical rulebook. These ongoing excavations are forcing us to accept a reality where human civilization was far more advanced, far more interconnected, and far more complex thousands of years ago than we have ever dared to imagine. But these three sites are just the beginning. In our final part, we will discuss the technological revolution that is allowing us to find countless more buried cities, and we will look ahead to the future of our past. We've looked closely at three distinct monumental discoveries: Pavlopetri, the ancient urban blueprint beneath the waves; Derinkuyu, the subterranean engineering marvel; and the new Hittite city, which is actively rewriting Bronze Age geopolitics. Now it's time to step back and ask the biggest question of all. What do these disparate discoveries tell us about the ancient world as a whole? How do we connect the dots? The traditional historical view often segmented these early civilizations, viewing them as relatively isolated entities, a rising power in Greece, a separate kingdom in Anatolia, and empires in Mesopotamia. But the evidence from these buried cities paints a radically different picture, one of a deeply interconnected and surprisingly sophisticated ancient world. Consider Pavlopetri and the Hittite discovery together. Pavlopetri was a maritime powerhouse, built on trade and naval expertise dating back 5,000 years. The new Hittite finds reveal an empire with a vast, specialized economic structure and newly discovered trade routes. This overlap in time and geography suggests that the trade networks we once thought were sparse and localized were in reality far more extensive and robust. Pavlopetri wasn't just trading with local villages. It was likely plugging into a nascent global system that already involved the resource-rich regions of Anatolia. This pushes back the timeline for true, widespread cultural and commercial exchange by centuries, challenging the notion of early isolation. Furthermore, the advanced engineering seen across all three sites cannot be dismissed as accidental genius. The systematic urban planning of Pavlopetri, the hydraulic and ventilation mastery of Derinkuyu, and the specialized monumental architecture of the Hittite city all point to a shared, high level of applied scientific knowledge. It suggests the rapid spread of technological concepts. Was the expertise used to plan Pavlopetri somehow shared or transferred to the engineers who designed the intricate layouts of the Hittite workshops? Were the techniques for moving massive stone doors in Derinkuyu influenced by similar architectural challenges faced by surface empires? This leads us to the most compelling implication. What caused these dramatic shifts? Why did an entire city like Pavlopetri sink? And why did tens of thousands of people go to the extraordinary lengths of carving out Derinkuyu? The existence of such vast hidden settlements implies a response to equally vast, powerful, and prolonged external pressures. Historians are increasingly looking at two primary culprits: climate change and geopolitical collapse. Pavlopetri's fate points directly to climate change and sea level rise. If a major port city was overwhelmed by water, it suggests a large-scale environmental event that would have triggered migration and chaos across the Aegean. Derinkuyu's very function, long-term defense, suggests a response to extreme geopolitical instability. Perhaps the widespread emergence of these interconnected underground networks was a reaction to the sudden collapse of surface governance, leading to mass migrations and conflicts that threatened entire populations. These buried cities are not just artifacts, they are demographic and environmental records. If the new Hittite evidence confirms more widespread conflicts or alliances, it forces us to reconsider the traditional explanations for the entire Bronze Age collapse, the mysterious period around 1200 BC when multiple civilizations across the Near East seemingly vanished. Instead of a localized collapse, we might be looking at an enormous interconnected system failure, triggered by environmental factors and exacerbated by the vast, interconnected trade and migration routes that these discoveries now reveal. In short, these three buried cities are demanding that we stop viewing ancient history as a collection of isolated stories. They were all participants in a single, dynamic, and complex global system. They were trading knowledge, resources, and technology, and they were all potentially facing similar existential threats. The result is a paradigm shift, the recognition that our ancestors, thousands of years ago, were capable of forming interconnected, highly engineered societies that are far more analogous to our own interconnected modern world than we ever gave them credit for. But this reevaluation is still only scratching the surface. In our final segment, we will look at the tools that are allowing us to find countless more hidden worlds and discuss the future of the past. We began this journey by questioning everything we thought we knew, and the evidence from Pavlopetri, Derinkuyu, and the new Hittite city has delivered a clear answer. The human story is far older, far more complex, and far more interconnected than any textbook has ever dared to describe. Our ancestors were not primitive. They were sophisticated engineers, diplomats, and urban planners. Crucially, these monumental excavations are just the very tip of the iceberg. We are currently living through a revolution in archaeological technology. Tools like ground-penetrating radar, LiDAR, and advanced satellite imagery are allowing scientists to peer beneath the earth and sea without ever lifting a shovel. These remote sensing technologies are identifying literally countless other buried sites, entire urban landscapes, fortifications, and trade networks that promise an even more profound paradigm shift in historical understanding. The past is not a settled book. It is a dynamic landscape waiting to be explored. But this exploration comes with a responsibility. These fragile insights into our past, the cuneiform tablets, the perfectly aligned foundations, the delicate air shafts, must be preserved. That requires two things: funding and international collaboration. These are monumental digs that demand resources, careful management, and the shared expertise of archaeologists, historians, and scientists from around the globe. If we fail to continue these efforts responsibly, we risk losing these vital chapters of human history forever. So, what will we uncover next? Will we find a city older than Pavlopetri? Will we locate the true origins of the engineers who carved Derinkuyu? The possibility of even older, more advanced civilizations emerging from the earth challenges us all to remain open-minded about the true origins of human ingenuity and development. The buried cities are calling out to us, urging us to question, to explore, and to finally accept the incredible, complex truth of our shared past. History isn't just about what happened, it's about what we are yet to discover. The future of our past is being written right now. Join us as we continue to unlock the secrets of the ancient world. Subscribe to our channel for more historical deep dives, and tell us in the comments below, which lost city do you think is waiting to be found next?